In today's show, big gaps and even bigger buys. I'm going to be sharing 5 things to watch out for in the Bitcoin market this week as we approach that critical $20,000 resistance. I do want to point out there's another $1,000 CME Futures Gap, which is open. I'll be breaking all this down for you in today's show. Also in today's episode, Planb says Bitcoin is entering an enormous bull year in 2021 and outlines his price targets and the biggest risks to BTC. That's right, in this new interview with Salt Talks, the creator of the stock The Flow, Planb, advertises a bullish 2021 ride and says that Bitcoin's value can skyrocket to $300,000 before the end of 2021. He goes on to share, if you look at a trajectory of what we've had in the last 10 years, where it could go to levels of gold and real estate, then I expect Bitcoin to do another 10x or 20x. So it will go well north of $100,000, maybe north of $300,000 before Christmas of next year. I'll be breaking all this down for you in today's show. Also checking out the latest wisdom from Max Kaiser. He tweeted, with Biden, Obama, Hillary, Epstein, Weinstein, and the China crew getting close to the White House again, Bitcoin ready to break new all-time high, panic buying by wealthy as Chinese take control of the White House, $28,000 is in play. The media is still asking if Wall Street and Washington will give permission to allow Bitcoin. When they realize how stupid this question is, they'll panic buy us straight to $100,000. That's right, and he continues, when you take the mask off, Bitcoin liquidity is drying up as this shock plays out. Anything under $200,000 will be impossible to get. Earlier this year, when Bitcoin was under $4,000, I said $28,000 was in play. Plenty of time to hit this in 2020. Also in today's episode, billionaire Shamath P says Bitcoin is becoming more than a hedge in an era of massive monetary intervention. That's right, the billionaire investor who famously bought 1 million BTC back in 2013 said in a recent interview with Bullish that his interest in the space is being reignited. He goes on to share, I was an early owner. I've owned it for a very long time. I think my dollar cost average is $120, something like that. My first purchase was $80. I stopped purchasing at $130. I'll be breaking all this down for you in today's show. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. As you can see, Bitcoin and all the major altcoins are back in the red, but where's the Bitcoin price likely to go from here? Find out all this, plus so much more in today's show. Here at Crypto News Alerts, I drop a brand new episode every single day, so be sure to smash that subscribe button. That's right, and turn on all notifications to receive daily, premium Crypto News Alerts every single day, just like this. And before I kick off today's show, if interested in tapping into OPM, leveraging other people's money to grow your wealth and crypto portfolio, then smash that link right below the video in the description. All right, welcome back to another episode of Crypto News Alerts. We have a lot to discuss today. I'm your host, JV, and let's dive right in, shall we? Bitcoin begins a new trading week within 5% of a mythical $20,000 price level. Doesn't it feel that way? But can it get there this time? That's the million-dollar question, as the largest crypto lines up for another shot at overcoming seminal resistance. Cointelegraph looks at the market factors influencing price performance today. On Monday, we have the vaccine stimulus decision, which is fueling the risk appetite on a wider macro level. Talk is firmly focused on the United States agreeing on a coronavirus stimulus package this week, a major test of the dollar's strength. Negotiations have no guarantee of being successful, one government aide told mainstream media, but the cost of the package under discussion is around $900 billion. Now, considering there is no guarantee whatsoever, just makes this even that much more ridiculous, and this will contain benefits for various economic sectors, but will crucially not involve a second stimulus check for ordinary Americans. So the real question is, where's all this money really going when they continue to print? And I know Biden plans on printing another $7 trillion in the name of quantitative easing. The question is, where will all this money go? Definitely not to the citizens of the United States. Prospects of both the stimulus package and vaccine rollout have helped buoy a flagging dollar, but for the meantime, risk assets are recovering. These include stocks, with the Japanese market beating 2-year highs in early trading on Monday. Oil is also on the rebound, nearing $47 a barrel amid hopes that the vaccine will spur fresh demand. All I know is this: I will not be taking this poison vaccine. As Emerald Robinson points out, the leaked database of 1.95 million registered Chinese Communist Party members has revealed 123 party loyalists are employed at pharmaceutical giants Pfizer and AstraZeneca. Both firms are developing coronavirus vaccines, according to the Daily Mail. Now, I responded to this with the following comment: hence why these vaccine manufacturers cannot be trusted. We can't trust government or big pharma, as both evils work hand in hand, especially when you add China to the mix. Talk about a big fat red flag. Pun intended. And for Bitcoin, however, any major boost to the US dollar is always a concern. 2020 has been characterized by the inverse correlation between Bitcoin and the US dollar. At this time, the US dollar was falling away from 91 points. Once more, still not far from its lowest level since April of 2018, as you can see right here on your screen. Now, this week, we'll also see fresh guidance from the US Federal Reserve about its virus-related economic response, with the dollar potentially moving in a step with any major updates. So there you have it. And the Bitcoin price rebounds to crucial resistance. Within Bitcoin, the weekend has continued what is a relatively recent phenomenon for price action, more happening on Saturday and Sunday than during the week, which is interesting to point out. We've been having these Bitcoin rallies during the weekend. After a lackluster 5 days of trading, Bitcoin rallied after Friday, rising from near $18,000 to highs of $19,400 just yesterday. The move is conspicuous, with fresh gains leading another round to confidence votes from various familiar investors. As Cameron Winklevoss points out right here, Bitcoin quietly tiptoeing above $19,000. No big deal. Nothing to see here. Now, at this time, Bitcoin's currently trading at about $19,000. Once we hit that upper resistance of $19,400, we just broke back down. We couldn't surpass it. Now, I do feel we'll continue to gain momentum, and it's only a matter of time before we break this almighty $20,000 resistance. Let me know when you feel we're likely to break it in the comments right down below. Now, a previous attempt to take this 20K resistance swiftly failed, resulting in the last week's lows of $17,550, and a look at exchange order book data shows that sell bids are intact at the same place. Now, conversely, should that $20,000 resistance finally break, there's little resistance which remains until $22,000, which is currently Bitcoin's final price hurdle, and I'm going to be covering some of Max Kaiser's bullish price predictions as well as where he feels we're likely to go from here in a little bit. Now, check this out. We do see that we've made another higher low, which makes it very likely we're going to achieve a new all-time high in the coming weeks. If 19,400 to 19,500 breaks, Cointelegraph Markets analyst Michael Van de Poppe added in an update on Sunday, and he continues on. However, traders should be aware that there is a possible likelihood of a fake out above this recent high, through which a bearish divergence starts to be applied and further range-bound continuation is likely. So there you have it. This is coming directly from Michael Van de Poppe of Cointelegraph Markets. Now, there's another $1,000 futures gap which is open, joining the party, countering the hope of the $20,000 showdown. Meanwhile, the weekend has ironically unleashed yet another gap in Bitcoin futures markets, providing downward pressure, roughly $1,000 in size. The difference between the end of Friday and the start of Monday trading for the CME Bitcoin futures market gives a lower price target of $18,100. These gaps traditionally get filled soon after they appear, but the size of the two now open has presented difficulties. Let's not also forget there's still a CME futures gap open at $17,000, as we only touched about that $17,600 level. So keep this in mind. And remember, Bitcoin may need to close the CME futures gap at $16,925 before we see all-time highs, according to forex trader Justin Bennett, founder of Daily Price Action, which he said about the gap. Now, for the positive side of things, we do have massive institutional interest right now, which continues to buoy the sentiment, giving Bitcoin positive publicity in the mainstream. Last week's announcement from the insurance fund Mass Mutual involving a $100 million Bitcoin allocation has led to further compliments from previous ARK Bitcoin skeptic JP Morgan. They go on to share Mass Mutual's Bitcoin purchases represent another milestone in the Bitcoin adoption by institutional investors. One can see the potential demand that could arise over the coming years as other insurance companies and pension funds follow Mass Mutual's example. And another bullish sign is that whole coiner wallets hit record numbers away from the big players. However, evidence of the big buy-ins is mounting. According to statistics from on-chain analytics resource Glassnode, the number of Bitcoin wallets containing a whole Bitcoin or more is at a new all-time high. As of Sunday, almost 827,000 Bitcoin wallets had a balance of 1 BTC or more. That's right, stack those sats while you still can. You can see this number going up is definitely a bullish sign for the market, and the result is that investor sentiment is being gauged as long-term hodl over the short-term speculation. So there you have it. And before I break down our next story of the day, Planb, the creator of the stock to flow model, says Bitcoin is entering an enormous bull year in 2021 and and outlines price targets and the biggest risks to BTC. But let's first take a look at the overall crypto market. You can see we're currently witnessing a correction as Bitcoin is down 1.4%, trading just under $19,000. We have Ethereum down 1.4% as well, trading at $576. We have XRP down 5.5%, trading at 49.4 cents. We have Chainlink down 1%, trading at $12.42. And Mist Litecoin down about 1%, trading at $79.62. All right, now let's break down our next story of the day, shall we? Institutional quantitative investor and creator of the Bitcoin stock to flow valuation model Planb says Bitcoin's unique scarcity is setting up the leading crypto to surge in 2021. In a new interview with Salt Talks, Planb advertises a bullish 2021 ride for Bitcoin. The experienced Dutch analyst hypothesizes that Bitcoin's value can skyrocket to $300,000 before the end of 2021. He goes on to share in this interview, if you look at the trajectory of what we've had over the last 10 years, where it could go to the levels of gold and real estate, then I expect Bitcoin to do another 10x or 20x. So it will go well north of $100,000, maybe north of $300,000 before Christmas next year. And that sounds really bullish. That sounds maybe ridiculous to some people, but we've done that 3 times before. And it's a very asymmetric return, years of nothing, some big crashes, and then an enormous bull year that I think will happen next year. So there you have it. Now, I don't know about you, but personally, I love these bullish price predictions, especially coming from Planb. So for Bitcoin to 10x from $20,000 would put the Bitcoin price at about $200,000 per BTC. And if we actually 20x, that would put the Bitcoin price at about $400,000 per Bitcoin. Now check this out. Planb's bullish evaluation is in part due to Bitcoin's scarce nature, citing Bitcoin's fixed supply of 21 million coins and to having events that decrease the amount of Bitcoin being mined each year. He goes on to share, it was 25 Bitcoin when it started in January of 2009, when Satoshi mined the first block with 50 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. So now we're at 6.25, and that will have for the next 100 years. So yeah, supply will be taken out. If you want Bitcoin, you will have to convince somebody else to give it up to sell it to you. That's a fact. And of course, that does something with the price, but fundamentally, from a first principle point of view, scarce assets are worth more than abundant assets. Bitcoin is the first absolute scarce asset. You cannot alter the supply, change the supply, even with its price rises. You cannot increase the supply because it's mathematically in the protocol, and that's very unique. And Planb also says he is a Bitcoin maximalist, revealing that he believes Bitcoin is poised to win in a winner takes all game. He goes on to share, I think it's a winner takes all game. I think that a lot of the confusion there comes from the fact that some people see Bitcoin and other coins as products or companies. You can have multiple products and some products will win and other products will lose, or multiple companies can coexist together, which is a very logical view. But Bitcoin, in my view, is not a company, it's a protocol. It's a protocol, and of course, you can only have one protocol, especially a money protocol. In my eyes, it doesn't make sense to have in 2020 and beyond multiple currencies like we have today, where it's much more efficient to have one monetary protocol, which is Bitcoin. I'm what they call a maximalist, but I don't like the term. The biggest risk that people see is a government ban or regulation. Governments have been against Bitcoin openly, but also especially trying to kill the predecessors of Bitcoin. However, Planb ultimately believes regulations are bound to ease up and become more reasonable towards technologies that are changing lives. He shares, right when the cars were invented, there was this rule that if you had a car, you also had to employ a person that walked in front of the car with the red flag, because otherwise there would be danger for the pedestrians and the cyclists. So every new technology brings its own suite of stupid regulation, but in the end, that regulation will improve and be more reasonable. And to check out this entire exclusive interview between Planb and Salt Talks, check out the show notes below the video. In the description, I'll be sure to include it. And now, before I break down the latest tweet storm from Max Kaiser, and we also discuss billionaire Shamath P says Bitcoin becoming more than a hedge in an era of massive monetary intervention. First, let's take a look at the overall crypto market cap, sitting at 558 billion with 100 billion in volume in the past 24 hours. Current Bitcoin dominance, according to CoinMarketCap, is 63.5%. Now, checking out the top gainers within the top 100, we have Maker up 1.5%, trading at $533. We have Numeraire barely in the green, up 0.6%, trading at $27. We have Compound up 0.5%, trading at $151. And Dogecoin, everyone's favorite cryptocurrency, wink, wink, especially Elon Musk, right, is up 0.5%, trading at 0.003. And now checking out the biggest losers within the top 100. We have Cosmos down 3%, trading at $5.10. VeChain down 3.7%, trading at 1.6 cents. And Aave down 3.6%, trading at $79.91. Now, out of this list of the biggest gainers and losers, which altcoins in particular are you watching right now and most bullish on? Drop me a comment right down below. And now checking out the Binance margins, we can see the bears are back in control, leading with 52.4% shorts versus 47.5% longs. Are you currently bullish or bearish on the king of all crypto? Holla at your boy. And now checking out one of my favorite indicators is the crypto greed and fear index. Right now we're rated a 95 in extreme greed, which is as high as I've ever seen it in the previous years. Yesterday was a 91, last week a 94, and last month a 90 in extreme greed. Now, if you're not familiar with the crypto greed and fear index, extreme fear can be a sign investors are too worried. That can be a great buying opportunity, aka BTFD, buy that freaking dip. And when investors are getting too greedy, like we're witnessing in the market right now, this means the market is due for a correction. And lo and behold, the market is currently correcting. All right, now let's break down this tweet storm from Max Kaiser, who I greatly appreciate. He wrote, with Biden, Obama, Hillary, Epstein, Weinstein, and the China crew getting close to the White House again, Bitcoin is ready to break a new all-time high. Panic buying by wealthy as Chinese take control of the White House. $28,000 in play. I repeat, $28,000 is in play. That's right. And he continues, the media is still asking if Wall Street and Washington will give permission to allow Bitcoin. When they realize how stupid this question is, they'll panic buy us straight to $100,000. He continues, when you take off the mask, Bitcoin liquidity is drying up. As this shock plays out, anything under $200,000 will be impossible to get. And he doesn't stop there. Earlier this year, when Bitcoin was under $4,000, I said $28,000 was in play. Plenty of time to hit this in 2020. Let me know if you agree or disagree with his price prediction of $28,000 before the end of this year. And also, as I pointed out right here in this tweet, quoting the Orange Pill podcast, if you missed this, check it out. It was really informative and definitely my favorite podcast out there. Quoting Max Kaiser, I wrote, the aliens and high net worth individuals are all attracted to Bitcoin's black hole. It's eating everything. Software ate everything. Then Bitcoin ate all the software. It's the apex predator. It's the mother of all black holes. And it's God 2.0. Touche. I couldn't agree more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments right down below. And before I break down our final story of the day, billionaire Chamath P says Bitcoin is becoming more than a hedge in an era of massive monetary intervention. And if you missed yesterday's episode, I encourage you to check it out. We got over 15,000 views just 21 hours ago. It was entitled MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor explains how Bitcoin could meteorically rise 80 to 100x. A very informative episode. Be sure to check it out. Also, I want to remind you to smash that show more button right below this video in the description for a detailed analysis of what's going on in the market. This goes for all 630 plus videos right here on my YouTube channel. I also have some very helpful resources for you to plug into, including the blog to my podcast, which could be found at cryptonewsyes.com. Also, be sure to smash that subscribe button right below this video to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, just like this. It also greatly supports the show, and I greatly appreciate your continued support. You can also find us on all the major podcasting platforms, from Spotify, the home of the Joe Rogan Experience, as well as Apple's iTunes. You can also follow me on Twitter to receive daily crypto news alerts. My Twitter handle is Crypto News Yes. And for those of you active on Facebook, I do have a private crypto Facebook group entitled Crypto Alchemy. To join it, click this link, request to join. I'll be sure to plug you in. And for those of you active on Telegram, I do have a private crypto Telegram chat that is uncensored. To join it, click this link. You'll automatically be added, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you personally on the inside. All right, now let's break down our final story of the day, shall we? Billionaire investor and CEO of Social Capital, Chamath P, says he's planning to become more vocal about his support for the king of all crypto. Now, Chamath famously bought 1 million Bitcoin back in 2013. Could you imagine buying 1 million Bitcoin back then? And he said in a recent interview with Bullish that his interest in the space is being reignited. He goes on to share, I've tried to temper my excitement. I do think that I'm going to become a little bit more vocal around my support of it. I was an early owner. I've owned it for a very long time. I think my dollar cost average is $120 per Bitcoin or something like that. My purchase was $80 and I stopped purchasing it at $130. Now let's stop for a moment and do some math. Let's hypothetically say he purchased his first 1 million Bitcoin for $80 on average. That means he invested roughly $80 million into Bitcoin. And guess what? At $20,000 per BTC at today's rate, a million Bitcoin is now worth approximately $20 billion. So could you imagine flipping 80 million into 20 billion? Whoa, mind blown, right? Now, Shamit says he's long viewed Bitcoin as a hedge against global economic calamity and now thinks its use case could be even larger. He goes on to share in this interview, I think it's a hedge. I've always viewed it as some sort of schmuck insurance against exactly this orthodoxy that you just talked about. But I think in other countries, it's more than a hedge. I think it's becoming a principal mechanism of value, storage, and exchange. In this era of emergency government stimulus measures and massive money printing, Shamit says the Fed will continue to keep equities afloat. He goes on to share the level of intermingling between fiscal and monetary policy. I've never seen that before. I think we won't really know what the hangover feels like for another decade. We know at least until 2023, you can be long equities basically with your eyes closed. The Fed basically said we're going to keep rates at zero until 2023. So what that basically means is you can be effectively long. And for some people, if you know how to manage the risk, leverage long equities, because you'll always have a bid. And to watch this entire exclusive interview between Bullish and Shamit P, I'll include it in the show notes below the video in the description for you to check it out. And now for a quick recap of what I covered with you right here in today's show. Big gaps and even bigger buys. I shared the 5 things to watch out for in the Bitcoin market this week. Also in today's episode, I shared that Planb says Bitcoin is entering an enormous bull year in 2021 and outlines his price targets and biggest risks to BTC, in which he goes on to share he would not be surprised if Bitcoin 20x's from here, which would put the Bitcoin price as high as $400,000. I also shared the latest rants from Max Kaiser, who now says $28,000 is back in play. And he also goes on to share that Bitcoin liquidity is drying up as this shock plays out. Anything under $200,000 will be impossible to get. And I also shared the latest from billionaire Shamit P, who says Bitcoin is becoming more than a hedge in an era of massive monetary intervention. So where do you feel the Bitcoin price is likely to go from here? Drop me a comment right down below. Well, that's going to conclude today's show. As always, I appreciate you tuning in and journeying along with me inside this incredible crypto matrix. If you gain value out of today's show, be sure to smash that subscribe button. That's right. And turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, just like this. And real quick before I go, if interested in tapping into OPM, leveraging other people's money to grow your wealth and crypto portfolio, then smash that link right below the video in the description. Go ahead and register for this free system. You'll be glad you did, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's episode. Peace.